Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Metallicus Live at Blockchain Beach. We are on location at booth 1737 at Money 2020 in the Venetian Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here to provide you with some of the most exciting things, people, and all things Money 20 that we can get our hands on. My name is Eric Lyons, and I'm going to be the MC throughout Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So stay tuned with us at Blockchain Beach. And I am here with the VP of Product here at Metallicus, Karen McHenry. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thank you, Eric.
And we would like to not only welcome, but also thank our first guest of not only just today, but the entire Money 2020 event. No pressure. The head of crypto, GTM, and strategy from checkout.com, Jess Houlgrave. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Woo, thanks for having me.
How's your day going today, Jess?
It's great. It's so enormous here. I nearly got lost, but I made it.
I know.
And the energy is awesome.
I know, it's so exciting. How are
Plenty
you,
of more
Karen?
opportunities to get lost.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I've always stuck around in this corner, and honestly, I'm kind of scared to check out the rest of it because I will definitely get lost as well. All right, but thank you so much for hopping on the show once again. Jess, real quick question. What is checkout.com? We obviously know about it, but for everybody that's tuning in at both Money 2020 and live from Blockchain Beach, what is checkout.com?
Checkout.com is a global payment services provider. We were started in 2012. We're now about 2,000 people and 20-something offices around the world. And we provide payment solutions to some of the world's leading enterprises. In the non-crypto space, those include customers like Shein and Curve. And in crypto, we've been processing for that space since 2018, processed for about 12 of the top 15 crypto exchanges, as well as marketplaces, NFT platforms. So really exciting to be here.
That's awesome. We're excited to have you here too. And so is this your first Money 2020 in Las Vegas?
It is not actually, but it's the first one I've been to in about 3-4 years, and
Wow.
so it's great to be back here. I did the Money 2020 in Amsterdam earlier this year,
Yeah.
which was great, but nothing beats Las Vegas for bigger and better than anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, on that topic with Amsterdam Money 2020, how was that? Like, did checkout.com have a whole presence and everything? Can you build up on that, please?
Yeah, so very much like this, we had a very big presence there. Obviously here we have our US team as well as our crypto team, whereas in Amsterdam we had a lot of the European team. For me, Amsterdam this year was really exciting, and that's because we were announcing our stablecoin settlement solution, which is a solution that allows us to settle our merchants directly in stablecoins. Means we avoid the banking rails, release some sort of operational overheads for our merchants too. And so that was the launch event this year in June, and we had a really positive reception. So it was great to be able to do that there.
So I actually saw your speech at Money 2020 in Amsterdam, and I was really impressed as well. Although I was already familiar with checkout.com, and we were in negotiations for a partnership, I still, well, you know, it's always great to see a young, powerful CEO, female. But again, and just the message was, I thought, really interesting and also very relatable for us, so the settlements issues and stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about why Checkout decided to go with the USDC settlement?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we've been processing for the crypto industry for a long time. And because we have the privilege of being enterprise focused, it means that we're really focused on kind of just listening to the needs of our merchants. And in the crypto space, some of the banking solutions that our merchants had were kind of inadequate. They weren't satisfied with them. Added on to that, banking always has this kind of reduction of the hours that you can make transfers, right? Like you're limited to 9 to 5 to be able to make those transfers.
It's so
Monday
crazy
to
in
Friday.
2022, right?
It's wild, and then
As if a human has to be on the other side to press the button to move the money.
exactly, and then you add on like bank holidays and things, and what the impact that has for our crypto merchants specifically is that they become very liquidity constrained, right? They end up, if you're an on or an off ramp particularly, you're using balance sheet
Yes.
then
Yeah.
to kind of cover that gap between when somebody purchases crypto and when you get settled from your acquirer. And so the ability for us to just take a small part of that flow and speed it up and enable it to take place 24/7, 365 in actually, and you mentioned USDC, that's the one we started with, but theoretically in any digital asset that people want is, for me, it's like one small step closer to this idea of kind of the payments utopia, which is that like when somebody makes a credit card transaction or a debit card transaction, that money is in the bank of the merchant as soon as possible, so that they can use that, put that money to good use. And there's all this capital that's locked up every single day because of these inefficiencies. And so it hasn't solved the whole problem, but it's solving a piece, and I think it's a great step forward for the payments industry as a whole.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We have those pain points as well with the liquidity and waiting for fiat to settle.
Yes.
So it's kind of music to our ears. What regulatory issues have you faced with that, if any?
So we're licensed all over the world. We're licensed in the UK, in Europe, in the US, in Singapore, Hong Kong, and so we haven't actually released that product everywhere yet because of some of those constraints. Every different jurisdiction has different parameters with how you have to set it up and that sort of stuff. We'll actually be expanding some of the geographies that's available in later this year, early next year, and start to get a bit more of a global footprint. I think for me on the regulatory side, I'm actually really optimistic right now. I think particularly in the UK and in Europe, some of the work that's being done around MiCA and bringing stablecoins from a payments perspective within the regulatory perimeter in the UK is great positive signaling, at least for the industry. Seeing that actually make it into reality is never as fast as you want it to be, right? Like you're trying to innovate, and regulators, I actually think, do a great job to stay, to be as fast as they are. But policy making is a lot, those cycles are very long. So could we be faster? Yes, but I think it'll get us to the right spot. I think certainly in the UK. And in Europe from a payments use case. Obviously, crypto more broadly, we'll see. And in the US, I think the same, a little bit further behind, a little bit more uncertainty on the stablecoin side. But
yes. Certain states are becoming more and more wary of stablecoins in particular, which I find fascinating.
Yes, and I can understand it, right? Like policymakers, this is the first time they've faced a technology that is so disruptive to the policy levers that they have. Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to just basic monetary policy, there is a world where digital assets kind of remove some of those levers for policymakers. And so I think it's actually a great thing that they are taking this very seriously. I get disappointed when people go too far too soon, because actually fostering innovation in a safe space, creating these sandboxes, I think is how you create forward-looking kind of regulation, and I think that's what everyone should be doing right now. But we'll see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yes. And without putting you on the spot at all, but our friends at Circle, have released Eurocoin now, and they've mentioned that they're going to release more fiat-based stablecoins. Do you think that, are you looking at that at all? Are you waiting to see what the liquidity...
So for us, we're very agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
We're a technology provider that exists to provide our merchants with choice and ultimately to provide their consumers with choice on how they pay for things. And so for me, if a merchant of checkout says, hey, I'd love to start using Euro C or anything else, then I'm very, very open to that. Obviously, we need to be able to source it effectively and all of those sorts of things, but we've got the right setup to do that at the back end. But we're really agnostic about what merchants want to be able to receive. And so it's our kind of our aim over the long run to really unlock anything, and that may even extend to non-stable coins. If a merchant says, hey, I'd love to be able to you can settle me in Bitcoin, that's great. That's a decision for the merchant to make about the asset that works best for their business, and we're really here as a solutions provider to them.
Yes, it's very interesting. That's one of the most common questions we're being asked recently is, are you able to pay out in multiple cryptos? Which is, I just find fascinating from, both a global standpoint and a personal standpoint, that people are really wanting to apparently purchase goods with their crypto.
Yes.
And just avoid fiat altogether.
Yeah, we see that in some of the research that we do. So we did a big paper earlier this year, and we've just refreshed some of that research about people's appetite to pay with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And I'm always like surprised,
Yeah,
honestly,
me too,
by the results. It is definitely like some specific demographics and only within some kind of sectors at the moment. But I'm amazed at like how forward-thinking people are, and we in the research we go quite deep and ask them like why and like what's important to you about this, and people are really able to articulate the benefits of being able to use cryptocurrency in transactions,
right.
Which is such a massive leap from where we were, even 18 months, 24 months ago, where this was really like the I don't think the everyday consumer had disaggregated the technology from the kind of speculative asset component of cryptocurrencies, whereas now people really understand the two, and I think the rise of stablecoins has driven that.
Right. Switching gears a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about, how you ended up, your journey? How did you get to checkout.com? And then after that as well, at what point did Checkout start to move into the crypto space?
Yeah, so where do I start? I am a kind of economics geek, and I wrote a paper when I was doing my undergraduate about the history of monetary systems. And I started life in finance, investment banking, but when I kind of learned about Bitcoin, I was like, oh, okay, like this is monetary history being made in real time, and I gotta like see what happens here. So I gave up my job in finance, much to the disdain of my friends and family who thought I was mad, and said I'm going to go and join the crypto crowd. And I've never made a better decision in my life. And so I've done a whole bunch of different things, really, from having an NFT startup to a social impact project that runs nodes and mining and funds girls' coding programs in developing countries. And doing a bit of investing. So it's, I live and I breathe this stuff, and I love it. And then I joined Checkout in early 2020 as chief of staff. My first job in payments, and gosh, that was a learning curve, but a really, really interesting one. And when you put these two things together, these like very old systems that we have and we have to work with today, and Checkout has done an amazing job at simplifying that for its merchants. And then you look at the future, which I think is going to be heavily influenced by the technology that we're building on the crypto side. I think we're building something really exciting here, but I wanted to spend more of my time in crypto. And so after 2 years in the chief of staff role, seeing how much fun our crypto team was having, I went and joined them earlier this year, and I now kind of focus on our go-to-market, our comms, our how we message ourselves and position ourselves in the market. And to your second question about like Checkout's journey in crypto, that started back in 2018, where we were processing fiat payments for a couple of crypto exchanges. We've really like built the business from there, and have now many of the kind of exchanges and various other platforms in the space who use us for fiat processing. And it was really just in response to their needs that we've started thinking more on the product side. So we've now built out a product team. We've got 3 or 4 people in that team, just focused now on kind of products that are crypto related. And we're really excited to kind of develop that over the next little while.
A little plug for Checkout here. I have to say, we've been working with you over the past 6 months, and it honestly has been a pleasure. The customer service has been second to none. Anytime we have a question, the guys are there to answer immediately. Setting up the APIs was very simple and well documented. So I'd like to congratulate you on that, because you talk to vendors and they always say, oh yeah, it's super easy to integrate. You can integrate in 3 days, no problem, and you know how that goes. But
Well, thank you so much. That's really nice to hear. And honestly, I think like it's hearing these stories that is I really love. Like, this is why I wanted to move into the team, is to be closer to our merchants, and hearing the experiences that we can create from them for them when they're positive. I also love hearing the other feedback too. Maybe we'll do that after the show. But I think
honestly, I have nothing but good things to say.
It's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All the way from sales, the entire journey, all the way from sales to integration has really been a pleasure. We have a Slack channel integration, and we go for weeks without having a question, and then we have a question, and it's amazing. It's like they've been sitting waiting for us on the other side.
I think what we've done, and I think this applies across Checkout, but specifically in the crypto team, like we all love what we do. Like we're here not because like we're here for a job, but like because we believe in what we're building and we love partnering with our merchants. And so like nothing is too much. Like when you have fun and you enjoy your job so much, like you want to be that responsive and you want to be there. And I think that Max, who leads on the kind of commercial and heads up crypto more broadly, has done just an incredible job of building a team of people who know payments and they know crypto, and like being able to put those two things together is awesome.
So does the crypto team feel like a little startup within the big behemoth of checkout.com?
It does a bit, yeah, it does. We're a really tight crew. We have a WhatsApp chat that we're always on. We have we meet monthly as a team. We run team offsites and things. And I think that's mainly what that helps us to do is to just be really responsive, because crypto at checkout is a true cross-functional effort. It touches all different parts of our business, but being able to kind of work closely together and move quickly is ultimately what supports our growth and obviously our merchants.
So you mentioned that you started really to fulfill the needs of your crypto customers already, like some of the exchanges and such, and have you seen a lot of interest from your more traditional kind of banking and fiat partners?
Yeah, so on the partner side, we've had to do quite a lot of like education to get people excited about this, because I think people often like don't know where to go to get reliable information. For our traditional merchants, it's been really interesting actually to see this year the level of interest steadily increase. And I had the expectation, kind of like previous crypto winters that I've seen, where all of these corporates who've got these kind of big crypto projects that are working, crypto winter comes and they're like, oh, let's put that on the shelf. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. We're not sure.
Yeah.
And this year is so different.
Yes.
It's so different. What I'm hearing is this sentiment that like, okay, crypto is not where it was, but we deeply believe in this technology. We believe that kind of crypto as an industry is still growing and it will kind of bounce back again. And now is actually the time to build. It's a great time to be investing, to build technology, to make sure that we're kind of ready, as it were, for the next piece. And so on the kind of non-crypto merchant side for us, we're having really regular conversations with people about their needs, about how crypto might play into their business models. And because we're enterprise only, we have that time to spend with those merchants and to kind of like guide them through. And even if it's not what we're building right now, even if it's not what we're ever going to build, being able to like support them, tell them who the right partners for them to go after and to work with, I think is a role that we actually really love playing in the industry, because I think that's crypto, if you just look around, all these companies are working really closely together to build the industry. And so it's a pleasure to kind of be able to bring people together to do that.
So have you really leaned into educating your customers? Yeah,
we have. So we have been creating content that's related to crypto to support people. Very often for our big merchants, like we'll invite them in and we'll do workshops with them and talk them through what's happening in the crypto space to try and support their learning efforts. Many of them are equally as advanced as us. Like they've got whole teams now thinking about this stuff. And so we learn as much from them as some of it, a lot of the time, because we get a different perspective. But for any merchants who, merchants of checkout, or if you're not a merchant of checkout but you want to talk to us about it, super happy to do that, because I think that, it's slow and steady. This is a slow and steady build. We're not going to just like suddenly all wake up and all payments are going to be crypto. Like these things are going to coexist for a really, really long time. But I think like we can drive really important innovation and incremental improvement for the payments ecosystem as a whole. And like that just has to happen by everyone starting to learn about it.
Yeah, that resonates a lot. We often hear, particularly here at Money 2020, it's interesting how many people walk up to the booth and say like, I'm really interested in crypto. I know my customers are interested in crypto, but I'm terrified because I don't understand it myself. And like, can you help us?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's that, like, it's having those trusted people that you can have those conversations with, not doing a hard sell, and just to help you learn and to help you understand where you should start. And I think it's what I often say to people is like, you don't have to like go all in. You don't have to do everything all at once. Like, there are really easy ways for you to partner with people, to experiment, to like start maybe adding a little bit more of like a Web3 feel into what you're building or with the products that you're offering to your customers. And so like
Simple.
You can start simple.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the things, and I was just having this conversation with someone last night, but one of the things that I really love about the crypto industry in general is I find, so first of all, it's just a great community and there's a lot of collaboration, but there's no stupid question, right? Because there's so much to learn and everyone knows that no one can know all of it.
Yeah.
So it's, I just find it's really easy to have conversations and share education and share knowledge because everyone knows a little piece of it or a bigger piece of it, but no one knows everything. So it's very easy to, just chat and ask questions and not feel silly about it. So I always, recommend to people that are, walking the floors that, feel free to ask questions about crypto, and anyone that's in the community is A, very happy to answer, and B, is not going to think you're silly. So
exactly, like we all had those questions.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If we know something, it's only because we've asked that question before. And as you say, people are in this industry because they believe in it and they care about it and they're excited by it. And so I've never had a crypto person not want to talk.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
And so I think that it's exactly that, right? And I think it's only by like it's actually, I think we learn a lot as an industry by being asked those questions because
Yes.
what that does is it tells us that there isn't good understanding about this right now. And so we need to do more to help people to understand that. The exception to that is that I think sometimes people feel that they need to understand everything about it, right? And
Exactly. And it's overwhelming.
they're like, how does the Bitcoin blockchain work? And I'm like, okay, well, like this is a really interesting conversation, but you don't need to know that because you can't tell me how Swift works and you can't tell me how HTTP protocol.
Yeah.
You don't. So the point is, you don't need to necessarily understand all the like deep tech aspects of it, and that's totally okay. And I think that those are great conversations, but like don't be scared if you don't know like the deep tech stuff. Like you should be thinking about how it impacts your business and how it impacts your customers, and let partners and let service providers take care of some of that more complex stuff for you because like that's what they're there to do.
Exactly. That's the holy grail for people like us, right?
Yes.
Have crypto rails underneath and have the customers not even notice that it's
Exactly.
crypto rails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the benefits.
Exactly, because that's when the industry as a whole pivots from like selling to the geeks, and I'm a
Yeah.
self-professed geek, so I use that in the most endearing way. But it pivots from like selling to geeks to like selling to the world, like because it actually has value and it actually has like benefits, and that I think is like we're right there right now, and super exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
There was actually something that you just brought up, and I just want to have a more emphasis, or I have a question that I would like a little bit more emphasis. How has crypto shaped that customer experience, especially these days?
So I think on the payments side, we're still very, very early.
Okay.
They're like, if you're talking about like an end-to-end crypto payments flow, I still don't think that the user experience is anywhere comparable to many of the payment systems that we have today, right? Like you have a wallet, like do you use a QR code? You have to copy and paste things, like that. Compared to just like going and tapping your card, or particularly in Europe, I like tap my Apple Watch most of the time. I don't even leave the house with anything apart from my watch and my phone. So we're still a long way from like the perfect user experience from crypto for kind of crypto payments from a consumer perspective. I think the exciting thing there is that there's so much work being done on the wallet side by different providers to like help make sure that the customer journey feels similar to what we're used to, because we all have these like very high expectations, right?
Yeah.
Like things feel very instant, and so there's a lot of work to be done there. I think that more broadly, when companies particularly are thinking about like how to incorporate crypto into their user experience, what they should be thinking about is like consumer choice. That's the reason that a payment service provider exists, is because there are infinite different number of payment methods, and customers want to be able to choose the one that they want to pay with, and crypto just forms part of that. And so how do you offer your customers choice? And then also I say to brands, like, think about like cool things that you've never been able to do before from a consumer experience and a consumer engagement perspective, because like there's a lot that you can do with crypto that you've never been able to do before, whether that's around like NFTs and ongoing engagement with your communities. It's about kind of building communities around business. So there is so much opportunity for you to kind of incorporate this technology and what it has to offer into a whole number of different areas of your business.
I solemnly agree. And one thing that you said earlier is the way crypto has changed, especially in like the past 6 months, 12 months, 18, 24, it's almost been night and day differences. And as you just said, we're still starting out. Crypto's still arguably in an emerging phase. And so the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 24 months, who knows what that's going to hold. And just having that variety, culture of options, I like to say, on the customer standpoint. Possibilities, would you say they're endless, or? I really think they are. I think they range from things that customers won't even know, but that are just like infinitely better because they're built on crypto. And like payments is a great example there. Like being able to like build on rails that are instant and super cheap and reliable and easy, and like there's a ton of advantages that many, as you said earlier, like many customers will be using this and not even knowing that they're using it. All the way through to that kind of real, like tangible consumer experience and engagement that changes. A lot of B2B stuff at the back end too. So it's going to kind of infiltrate almost every part of business. It'll take a long time to do that, but I really think that it'll infiltrate how many customers work. In the research report that we did this year, 67% of CFOs that we interviewed said that they thought Web3 would substantially change their business model. And I think that's right. Like they should be thinking about how this is going to impact them, because it will inevitably have a huge change. I think mostly for the positive for a lot of businesses.
I also think too, with crypto, there's often the analogy made to the internet when the internet first became popular, and email, and people thought it was crazy. And now, crypto's in that same space, and they used to talk about teenagers or children that were internet natives and how they understood the technology, right from the beginning. And now I think the children and teens of this era are now going to be crypto natives, and they're starting to earn crypto playing games, and they're going to have their own wallets, and my son's mining ETH in his bedroom, and
your energy bills, God. Exactly. But they're sending NFTs for like a Valentine's Day card is no longer a Valentine's Day card. It's like an NFT rose. Like this is how they're interacting with each other, and it's how these communities are being formed. It's how gameplay is taking place. It's how people are shopping in a metaverse environment. Like, and for us, I kind of force myself to do these things because I'm really interested in them. So I love, I'll go to a metaverse concert just to kind of experience it. But like the reality is that many people of my generation will never do that, and that's okay. Yeah. But the next generations, like for them, that's a very, very normal and like exciting and expected experience. And it's those people who are then going to really like build the stuff that we can't even dream about yet.
Right.
Possibilities are endless. And another thing that you talked about just like a couple minutes earlier, we were talking a lot about like how does it affect the customers? How do the customers' lives change in this Web3 day and age, in this metaverse? But one thing that you brought up that we have not mentioned yet, businesses, just how other businesses can directly work and interact with each other and be able to grow and flourish, not only individually but together as a whole. Is there anything that you essentially anticipate happening in 2023 within the industry, in your humble opinion?
Gosh, look, I think one of the most amazing things about the crypto space is this real sense of collaboration. Like we know when I first started like building this NFT project, like we had to build so many tools ourselves because like it just like didn't exist, and then you share them, right? And then another project says, oh well, actually I built this bit, and like and so you start this like real open source mentality. And I think that that's filtered through even into the like less like protocol layer and more like businesses being built around the crypto space, there's still this really collaborative mentality of like, if we don't grow the pie, like it doesn't matter. So there's no
Right.
like infighting, because like
Yeah.
the pie is tiny. So let's all focus on like growing the pie, and then we can figure out like how it's going to be split up. And so this like collaboration, the partnerships at Checkout, we have a partnerships team that focuses fully on just like building crypto partnerships, and they do an amazing job. But I think it's this collaboration, and I think that in 2023 we'll continue to see that. We'll continue to, I think, get better clarity from a regulatory perspective, which will help us all. And I think we'll continue to see this like real like focus on building and on the underlying technology, and not getting caught up in like massive hype cycles, but like really thinking about the long-term impact that this is going to have for economies.
I think the world is starting to realize that crypto's not going away. It's not just a fad. It's here to
Oh,
stay. And while there have been some unfortunate events in the industry, I still think that was an important time to weed out some of the hype
Yes.
and the scammier sides. And now, it allows the last people standing are the true, crypto people that are here to build because we believe in the technology.
Yeah, and I think that this is, the people who do bad things deliberately in our industry, I think, do incredible damage. What's really important is like how we think about the industry as a whole, not letting some bad actors, which there inevitably are, kind of like cloud the amazing work that
Yeah.
some people are doing. I was recently in Asia and spent some time with some women who are building more like community-oriented projects there. And when you think about what some of this technology is enabling communities to do, it's like truly revolutionary, and it's empowering people, particularly from underrepresented communities, to participate in an economic kind of in an economic environment that they've never been able to do before. And like every time I think about the bad actors, I just go back to these people who are really building stuff to make the world a better place.
Banking the unbanked.
Banking the unbanked, and making sure that people have access and are empowered. And being empowered comes with responsibility, because this is a new thing. How we like think about keeping our assets safe is new, and it's challenging for people. But like it's like this matrix thing, right? Like
Yeah.
you gotta see what's going on, and when you really see what people are building, like this is why people go down that rabbit hole and can't come out, because it's like so exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're starting to running, like we're almost at time. First of all, I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to hop on this, Karen and Jess. It's been such an amazing conversation, and just being able to bend both your ears and listen to this conversation. I feel like everybody listened to this live stream has also learned a lot. And one thing we gotta like leave with everybody is that we're only in 2022. Who knows what's in store next year, 2 years, 3 years from now. But before we head out, Jess, is there anything else that you would like to say, or anything that you would like to bring up?
No,
Money
look,
2020.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome to meet you here. It's one of my favorite things about being on the kind of conference circuit at the moment, is just meeting people that I haven't seen or haven't met yet in
Yeah.
person, because nothing beats that. And so thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about the next few days, and what the whole industry is doing. Thank you.